And the goal should not be, I want to lose 100 pounds. The goal should always be, I want to be the healthiest version of myself. So getting up, eating healthy, going to the gym, I know every day that I do that, I'm getting a step closer and closer and closer to being the healthiest version of myself possible. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Doc Jock Show. I am so excited to share this topic today. So in December, I had a couple interviews in here, but I want to dedicate this month to what we're going to be taking advantage of or taking advantage with whenever it comes to the new year. So we already talked about the multi-level marketing scams that are out there, the cleanses that are going to be tossed your way. But one of the other things that people are going to push is going to be extreme fad dieting. Okay, and one of the most common ones, I did the most research on it to prove as to why you shouldn't do that, is going to be the HCG diet. But we'll talk about HCG, we'll talk about keto, we'll talk about calorie restriction, we'll talk about intermittent fasting through all of this. Okay, so we'll save the HCG for the end, but let's just dive in here. So when people get to the end of the New Year's, it's usually the heaviest we are as individuals throughout the entire year. And it's really for no other reason besides we get stressed out of our minds whenever it comes to the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween even gets wrapped in there, and then New Year's. And then the stress of trying to pack and get everything ready for the holidays, get your presents in order, make sure you're not overdrafting your accounts and overspending, just like the Grinch warns about in the Grinch. That's what everything has been popping out about with Christmas. Everything's about gifts instead of Christ, even though it shouldn't be. But whenever it comes to the end of the year, we have overconsumed food, we have decreased our exercise, we haven't been outside most of the time because it gets cold out. Even in Arizona, it gets cold. So less exercise, more calories, more sedentary lifestyle, more stress, lack of sleep, and this perfect ball of just disorder or dis-ease takes place in your body. And so to the untrained eye, to the health coach out there, you say, well, we just need to put you on a severe calorie restrictive diet. So let's get you on keto. Now, keto is considered a therapeutic diet, right? Which means it's used for an intended purpose as if it's like a medical based diet to get you to lose weight, to get you to starve cancer. But the reason that you gained all that weight isn't because that you were lacking the keto. Keto is going to be severe carbohydrate restriction. Now, there is definitely literature that says, hey, you can still go keto and you can still get carbs, you can still get glucose or sugar from amino acids once your protein's broken down. It's a harder process, it's more time intensive for you. But also, if you do this for a long period of time, you can put your body at risk, especially as a woman. You can damage your thyroid. You can cause your body to get into this primitive fight or flight mode where it just starts to stick fat on top of you. It's not a long-term diet. You can get in, get out real quick. Usually what will happen though is you go keto for a long period of time. You don't address the emotional component of the eating. And you're like, hey, I can do this for 30 days. You do it for 30 days. You might feel great. Then as soon as those 30 days are over, you're going to go right back to the binge eating, the carb eating, because you've been restricted. And you said, after 30 days, I'm going to go consume that. So when you get served these special ketone drinks, these special push your body into ketosis, make sure that you're aware of what you're actually doing to your body. You're starving your body of a macronutrient, which I don't feel is healthy long-term because your body requires that, your brain requires that. And if you stay in it for a long period of time, it is detrimental to your health, okay? Past the keto diet, we're going to go into just calorie restriction just in general. We'll stack that kind of with the HCG diet as well. So some trainers are out there, some quote unquote health coaches are out there and say, all you need to do is go into a calorie restricted state. So basically we want you to take in less calories than what you're burning in a given day. And therefore you have a deficit, a caloric deficit, and then you're going to lose weight with that. Now, can that work? Yeah, it can work. But again, when we're talking about the starvation technique, it's not going to be good, especially if you're a woman, because you're going to have a higher tendency of rebounding. Your cravings are going to go through the roof. You're going to have blood sugar instability. Your adrenals aren't going to be firing very well. And if we stay in a caloric deficit, that means we're also going to be robbing our bodies of nutrients. Now, the standard American diet recommends about 2,000 calories or so a day. Whether or not you want to believe in the standard American diet in terms of the caloric intake that we're supposed to have in a day, it's up to you. I've got this Whoop, so it kind of tells me, or if you have an Oura Ring, it'll tell you about how many calories you burn in a given day. For me, it's about 2,300 calories. If I exercise extra heavy, we're close to like 3,000 calories or so a day that I burn in a standing state, a resting state, or in addition with exercise. So when I eat those calories, I'm bringing in lots of different nutrients, not just the macros with the carbs, proteins, and fats, but the trace minerals that are in there, the polyphenols from fruits or from vegetables that we're getting in, or the fiber. And when we restrict a certain macronutrient, or we just ultimately restrict our body from food, then our body goes into a primitive mode. It goes into the starvation mode. And what happens is, yes, we can lose weight, but then eventually what happens is your body keeps adding more and more and more fat on you because it fears you starving. Okay, this is something that's been around for a very long time. So you actually have a more difficult time burning that fat that you put on because your body's afraid that you're going to go into the starvation again. Now, when we stack this with the HCG diet, their belief is less than 500 calories a day, and you inject HCG, and it's supposed to help you lose an extreme amount of weight. And what it's trying to boast is that it can boost anabolic activity. If you do HCG, it's supposed to help with increasing your androgens, increasing testosterone, and then that's supposed to be able to use it to burn more fat. Being in a caloric deficit, same thing. You're going to be designed to burn more fat because your body doesn't have anything else to burn. So what happens after the HCG diet? Rebounding, okay? When you do the HCG diet, you have to make sure that you're properly tracking your hormones to start. If you do it and you don't know where your hormones are at, you can push your androgens even higher than where you currently are. An example of this would be if you have PCOS and you have hyperandrogenism, or you have too many androgens. When you have too many androgens and you take something like HCG, it's going to continue to push up your androgens even further, and you might lose some weight, but you're going to cause more cystic ovary growth, or maybe you have endometriosis and that testosterone is going to convert into estrogen, or maybe you have a blocked liver and your estrogen can't get out of the body and you're creating this surplus of hormones. And you're like, what the heck is going on? It doesn't matter how much you starve your body, you're still doing something against your body's will. It's not healthy for you. Okay. Now, the purpose of this, yes, is to kind of say, hey, just be careful. Anytime somebody throws a diet at you, first ask yourself a question. Number one, is this a therapeutic diet? Is this something that I can sustain for a long period of time? If so, then it's not a therapeutic diet. It's just a healthy diet. And a diet just means what we eat, right? Diet itself has this negative connotation that anytime we say, hey, what's your diet? People are like, oh, well, I'm only doing 5 grams of protein a day, or 5 grams of carbs a day and no fats, or I'm doing keto. It's not like that. Diet is just what we put in our mouth, what we eat. Okay. How do you build then the most sustainable outlook into the new year, the easiest outlook into the new year? Okay. If our goal is to be healthy and our goal is to lose weight, weight gain is a side effect of the body in a state of dis-ease. So is it that you cannot lose weight because your adrenals are burnt out? Is it because you're working out too much? Is it because you're working out too little? Is it because you're stressed out of your gourd? Is it because you're not sleeping? Is it because you have a toxic relationship? What is it? Or a gut infection? What is it that's causing your body to go through this given state? And when I say those things and I say these causes, the reason I'm saying the causes is to start to kind of put these pieces together for you, that when you say that all I'm going to do is do this diet, it may just be one little teeny tiny piece of why your body's in the state that it is, why your body can't lose the weight. And so if we address one piece, yeah, you might feel better, but as soon as you stop that diet, everything else is going to go back to the way that it was. And then you're going to get frustrated. And the more frustrated you are on the more holistic diets, the more inclined you are to do an HCG diet. And this always cracks me up when I'm like, hey, let's avoid dairy, gluten, corn, soy, processed sugar. And patients are like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Or people who don't become patients say, I can't do that. But then they'll be quick and turn around and they'll do an HCG diet and eat less than 500 calories a day. And it's like, what? You'd rather starve yourself than avoid something that is going to be a trigger to your inflammation. So if you're just saying, hey, how do I start to be healthy? Eliminate those things. I talk about it all the time. Dairy, get rid of it. Corn, get rid of it. Gluten, get rid of it. Soy, get rid of it. Processed sugar, get rid of it. You do not need any of it. You will go through a toxic withdrawal symptom stage of about 2 weeks or so after you cut these things out. But then in a period of time, your body will start functioning properly. You will stop causing inflammation to the body. Now, when that happens, this is where these healthier diets come into play, like a ketogenic diet or an AIP diet or FODMAP or SIBO diet. We're eliminating some of those carbs. And in theory, carbs are going to convert into sugar. Sugar is going to contribute to more inflammation in the body. The more we can reduce the inflammation down, the more we can stop adding fuel to the fire of whatever your disease state is. Now, if you're like, well, I did that. Now what do I do? Make sure that you section out your meals that you're going to have for the day. Make yourself eat if you're not used to eating. Now, this might be contrary to popular belief. I don't want to hear people trying to intermittent fast, especially women. It's just not something that I feel as though is sustainable. I see a lot of women go the opposite way. They may lose weight for a week or two, and then they just start gaining more and more and more and more weight. And that's what Dave Asprey had to make a whole nother book called Fast This Way, because he was finding out that women can't fast like men do. All the literature is based off of white men, basically, not to sound racist against myself, but that's what it is. They did all these studies on guinea pigs and frat houses and stuff, these white guys in college, because they just needed some extra money. It's, not a bad gig overall, but when we look at the intermittent fasting literature, the new stuff that's starting to come out is we need to start to say, well, what does this do in a female body? Not in a rat study or a male study. In a female's body, what does this do? So when you intermittent fast, you put your body again in that state of stress or dis-ease, and then the body freaks out. You're going to be craving carbs because the stress response is going to dysregulate your blood sugar, and then you're going to be more inclined to go towards the sweets. And when you're in intermittent fast, some people will coach you and say, you can eat whatever you want in that window after you're done fasting, whether it's a 16-8 or whatever the window split is, 18-6. And then they just go ham in that afternoon window slot or that afternoon time slot. And then it's like, oh, if it fits your macros, or like, I'm just going to pound down cake, cookies, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you're giving yourself horrible nutrients to put into your body, which is then going to disrupt your sleep, which is then going to disrupt your insulin for the next day, which is going to continue to create this blood sugar dysregulation, this blood sugar imbalance. Now, the way that disease takes place in the body, every single disease stems from inflammation. Now, the key in what we do is we look for what caused that inflammation to begin with. Again, was it an infection? Was it stress to the adrenals? Was it relationship stress? So mental, physical, social, spiritual stress. What is it that's sabotaging your body to push it into the current state that you are unhappy with? What can we do to hijack that and bring you back to balance, bring you back to homeostasis, bring you back to healthy? Okay. When people work with me, my goal is not ultimately weight loss. It's not. Everyone who works with me is well aware of that. My goal is to make you healthy. Fat to have on your body is not healthy. Excessive fat is not healthy for you. So again, if we can get rid of it, we can purge it, we can get rid of the excess estrogen, get your bowels to move properly, your body will thank you. So let's get back to it. So what can you do? All these side notes aside, what can you do? Avoid those triggers, all right? Gluten, corn, dairy, soy, processed sugar, okay? Get rid of the pops, get rid of the sodas. All right, that's step one. Step two, stop night eating. Okay, stop it. You don't want to eat anything within 3 hours of you falling to sleep. If you do it, your sleep quality is going to be terrible. You can track it again with a Whoop or an Oura Ring, and you'll see their heart rate variability and your recovery index drops when your body ate before you went to bed. Because instead of recovering, instead of being anabolic while you sleep, your body is going to be catabolic. It's going to be breaking down those nutrients, or you're just going to have a lead ball sit in your belly. It's going to push up on you, and you're not going to feel very comfortable with it. Okay? So when we go into this and we say, all right, well, we've got that under control. We're not going to eat anything within 3 hours of going to sleep. Now, what else can I do? The other thing that's beneficial for you, and I don't promote this app, but it's useful, download the MyFitnessPal app. Just download it. It's free to do it. And what I want you to do is log what you're actually eating. Okay, a lot of us do what we call mindless eating, or we graze. All right, we'll sit down with a bag of chips, and before we know it, the entire bag is gone. We're like, what the hell just happened? Especially if you're a parent, you black out and you eat everything. You're like, what just came to? What is going on? When you're not aware of what you're putting in your body, it just is like another reflex. It's like your mind shut off and you just consumed, and you're not really getting anything from it. There's no nutritional nourishment from what you just ate. When you log it into the MyFitnessPal, you can actually see like, oh snap, I'm eating 500 grams of carbs a day. How the hell did that happen? And then it can show you, where are my main large carb meals coming from? Is it snacking? All right, so here's the second part, or I guess third part, depends on where you're counting. Increase your protein intake. Men and women are massively protein deficient. Now, I have a theory on this, but we're protein deficient. All right, women get at least 100 grams of protein a day. And quite honestly, I would say get about your body's weight in grams of protein each day. Men get about 2 times more than your body weight. Try to, right? Get that protein level up. Get excessive with it. But at the very least, go pound for pound for your body weight, male and female. Right? Protein got a bad rap a long time ago. Oh, you have protein, it's going to hurt your kidneys. It's not true. It's not going to happen unless you have shitty kidneys to begin with, or shitty quality protein. But when you get protein, protein's used for so many things in the body. It's going to help when it breaks down in amino acids. It's going to help your gut repair. It's going to help your muscle repair. It's going to help your brain. It's going to help you give energy. It's going to help with hormones. It's going to help with boosting your overall feeling of well-being. It's going to boost your immune system. There are so many given pieces to this. And my theory behind why people are protein deficient nowadays is because we're stressed more than we ever have been as Americans. And so what that does is it suppresses our stomach acid. And when it suppresses our stomach acid, it leads to hypochlorhydria or achlorhydria, where we have none. And then every time that we eat a heavy protein, we get acid reflux, or we get this bloating in our stomach. And so innately our body says, well, I don't like red meat. Red meat doesn't really agree with me. Or I don't like this. It doesn't agree with me. Instead of figuring out why your body doesn't agree with a healthy food, you just ignore it. And then what happens is we start to become anemic. Our iron levels start to drop. Our energy drops, and we don't know our butt from our elbow because we don't know what protein to get in, or we just have a little bit here or there. Maybe it's one egg, or maybe it's like a little teeny tiny tablespoon of chicken. You're like, that's all I can eat. Work on that gut. If you really truly want to lose weight, work on your gut. That's why all these probiotics that are out there, the whole market is saturated with people trying to say probiotics by themselves are going to cause you to lose weight. It's another marketing scam, marketing gimmick. It's ridiculous. But when it comes to the gut, it is important to make sure that we do have proper probiotics, but we have to make sure we have this bird's eye view of why our probiotics went down to begin with. Right? Is it stress? Is it refined sugars and carbs? Is it processed sugar? Is it the fact that we're drinking high fructose corn syrup or sucralose, these artificially sweetened drinks that are completely damaging our gut? What is it? Right? So if we avoid those foods, we avoid eating within 3 hours of falling asleep, then we do an inventory check. What is it that we're actually consuming? What is it that we're actually eating? Okay, be aware of it. Sit down in a given week and be like, whoa, this is what I'm eating. How can I improve that? I'm really calorie deficient in protein. So how can I push my protein up? Real quick, real easy, on average, I'll say average. A lot of the women I work with would be 120 pounds or greater. Okay, so just as a rough estimate, we're going to get 40 grams of protein 3 times a day in your main meals. So figure out what that would be for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. Figure out those things. After you get that, and after your stomach starts to be able to handle that, then you start to increase a little bit more. Can we get snacks in between? Can we get healthy food bits in between our meals? And that could be, grass-fed beef jerky. It could be these chomp sticks that you get. It could be a handful of nuts, trying to stay away from peanuts, but like cashews, we could do walnuts, we could do pecans, we could do some of these nuts in between that are going to help us to get our good protein in, help us with our fat as well. And then we can increase our fat, right? And then we're starting to push our calories up more and more, and then our body starts feeling better and better. And this is how we build a sustainable diet. Okay, there's things you can do as well. And I might release this as well as an elimination diet, a tutorial on how to do the elimination diet. It's another thing you can do to see how your body feels when you eat certain foods. But when you're doing this, to keep it super simple, eat clean. But if you eat something within 30 minutes to an hour afterwards, you have a symptom of diarrhea, severe stomach pain, bloating, headache, tiredness, or fatigue, maybe analyze what that protein was that you ate for that meal. Okay, typically it's going to be a protein-induced thing, and make sure it didn't have gluten in it or sugar or dairy or any of that nature, because that would cause you to be inflamed. Inflammation is going to cause our body to suffer. It's going to cause our body to get tired. Okay, so doing these things, adding these foods, making sure that we have a proper routine in order is how we build this. Okay, and people would often say, well, I can't meal prep. I can't do 4 days out in a row or 3 days out in a row. And I'm not telling you to do that. And I'm not telling you to make fresh stuff every single time, because I know that could be time consuming, especially if you're going to be out and about at lunchtime, or if you work away from home, or even if you work at home and you're like, I can't keep up with my patients or my calls, and I forget to eat. And then I come back, I'm like, oh my gosh. So make extra for dinner. Whatever your dinner meal is, make it healthy, make it clean. Before you serve anybody else in the family, put it in a glass little Tupperware, put it in the fridge, and mark it as your lunch for the next day. You just obliterated that objection. You can make lunch for yourself, and if you don't, wake up earlier. Make breakfast, You can make breakfast for yourself, wake up earlier if you need to, or actually eat. If you have kids, eat with your kids. Get that food in at that time. That's also teaching your kids, hey, we need to eat some food in the morning. Lunch is already done for you. And then dinner time, always plan and prepare what you're having for dinner. Always. It is too easy for us to just say, I don't know what to eat. Kids are crazy right now. Let's Uber Eat something, or let's Grubhub, or let's, DoorDash something to the house. So we'll just get food for the kids, and then we'll wait for some shitty delivery of food to come so we regret it the next morning. If you don't know what you're going to eat for dinner, you're more inclined to do something like this. So always be prepared. Plan out your meals for the week. It also helps you to grocery shop. Okay, so even if you just get to Wednesday, say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is what I'm going to eat, but I'm also going to go to the grocery store on Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, go to the store on Sunday again, and you're stocking up twice throughout the week. Okay, that way you can keep fresh produce and things in the house. So these are just little techniques that you can use. So when somebody says, hey, what diet are you doing? Or what, there's not a real diet. It's just, hey, I'm choosing to eat healthy. Make these steps. These are very easy, very actionable things that you can do. The other thing you can do, if this is really hard for you, is number one, make sure you give yourself grace. No one is perfect. No one. So if you screw up, or you're like, well, for Christmas, I know that I'm going to eat really crappy food. That's fine. Just make sure that you come back on the mend the next day, so that way you're washing inflammation out, trying to move your body a little bit too, but get back to where you were. All right. Some people like to hear the 90-10 rule, where 90% of the time you're perfect. 10% of the time, you're like, whoops, I had a cheat meal, or I had a vacation meal, because too much of this restrictiveness is making me crazy. Okay. It's also easier if your spouse or your significant other does this with you, so that way you have a support system. Then instead of cooking 2-3 meals for your family, you're just cooking one meal for your family. Okay. And this is men, this is women, this is husband, wife, whatever. This is how this becomes successful. Okay. So I want to give you ways, not just to bash the whole fad dieting side of things, but I want to give you ways to recalibrate your body. Okay, naturally, easy, for free dollars and free cents. You can go to the grocery store, get these things, prep your food, and be good to go. All right. Cheats in terms of, trying to eat organic and trying to do like pesticide free, organic, free range, cage free. Those things can be very tricky when you're first getting started. I would focus just on those beginning things. Try your best to at least get stuff that's considered to be natural. Okay. And then as you get the routine down, then you start swapping out your sources, right? If you're going to be eating beef, it's very important to make sure it's grass-fed beef. If it's not grass-fed, it will cause inflammation to the body. It will cause harm to the body. So grass-fed is key. You can get this stuff at Costco. You can get it at Aldi. And I'm talking about places that you'll find this stuff cheaper than if you go to like a Whole Foods or a Sprouts like we have down the street. Okay. Or you can get a whole cow, or you can go to a farmer's market and find somebody who's selling very reasonably priced meats. Okay. Chicken, same thing. You can go all natural on that. You can try to be as healthy as humanly possible, but trying to buy in bulk as much as you can, you're going to get a cheaper rate in terms of cost per pound. So again, very easy when you're meal prepping, or you can throw stuff on. Just had a conversation with a mom about this yesterday. You can throw some chicken in the oven, put it on a bake timer, and then let the timer go off for you. And then you have like 30 chicken thighs or 30 chicken breasts you can have throughout the day, throughout the week. Hopefully you don't eat 30 in a day. That would be a lot. But it's getting your body to get used to saying, hey, I'm running low. Just need to throw some in the oven real quick. I'm going to multitask, do what I need to do around the house, and then come back and boom, it's good to go. Okay. Or while you're cooking dinner, if you're like, hey, I need to meal prep chicken. Okay. So meal prep chicken there. And then when you meal prep the chicken, you can be cooking burgers for dinner on the stove or on the, you could cook it on the stove, or I'm trying to point to my smoker, but on the grill, you can do it there. Okay, so you're kind of multitasking where you're getting your meal prepping done, you're getting your dinner and lunch for the next day done, and then that way you can have little small meals in between your day as well. Other objections that I can see or hear is a lot of people don't do well with egg. Very common that people don't do well with egg, whether that's grass-fed or just conventionally grass-fed, whether that's cage-free organic eggs, or if that's conventional eggs. Eggs can be inflammatory. Again, it comes down to the stomach and how well your body's able to digest these certain things. We can develop allergies. We can develop sensitivities, but those are just signs and symptoms that your gut isn't intact. Okay, so what can you do if you're like, well, for protein for breakfast, what do? I'm going to do oatmeal. You can stir protein powder in your oatmeal, and that can be a nutritious snack for you. You can do hamburger meat for the morning, just kind of saute some of that up. You could put some sweet potatoes and stuff in there, kind of make like a beef hash, if you will. There's plenty of recipes for like paleo recipes for breakfast, but doing something like that, you don't have to eat eggs and toast and bacon for breakfast just because that's what it's been ingrained into our heads. We don't need to eat that way, okay? But we can do small things where it's easy, it's quick, it's very quick to cook beef in a pan, just as quick as it is to kind of cook eggs in there. And you throw all that stuff in there. And again, you can put a little lid on it, make sure you trap in any heat so that it cooks faster. And then you can go and multitask and get stuff done, come back, leave a timer on the stove because I'm huge with timers, leave a timer on that, come back when it goes off, stirring it occasionally. And then you have your breakfast there. You could feed that to your kids. You could feed it to yourself, your husband, your wife, whoever's cooking. It's good to go. Okay. And again, if you're like, well, I made too much for breakfast, well, now you can carry that over for lunch, and that's okay. Get intimate with your seasonings as well. So get some healthy seasonings. Primal Palate or Primal Kitchen, I think, is one of the main ones that we use. But trying to get more organic herbs, ingredients, rubs that you can put on the chicken, you can put on the beef, to try to give it a little bit different flavor so you don't burn out on this food. Okay. Again, it's going to be hard at first, but I'm trying to give you as many usable tips as we can to make sure that your blood sugar is balanced, you're not causing inflammation, you are being satiated, and you do have a tendency to be able to lose body weight. Now, if you're doing all of this, okay, you changed everything around and you started an exercise routine at the beginning of the year, good on you. Make sure you hide the scale, though, especially in the first month. Okay, because what can happen is if you're not used to working out, you're going to be creating inflammation at the level of the muscle. Okay, so you're causing destruction, catabolic physiology at the muscle. Then your body has to become anabolic to recover and rebuild it. That's where those amino acids or proteins come into play to help you to recover. Okay, so if you're doing that and you're not used to that, you're going to have some soreness that lingers around. That soreness is lactic acid, it's inflammation, and it's going to cause you to bloat. It's going to cause you to be a little bit puffy. So if you step on the scale, you're like, man, I gained 5 pounds, or I gained 6 pounds, or I gained 10 pounds in a month. This is ridiculous. What is it? It could be that you're breaking down those muscle fibers and it's causing inflammation, or it can be that stacked with your anabolic. So you're adding on muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. The more muscle you have, the more the muscle will burn the fat. So there is kind of like this 30-day window of give your body a chance to recover, work with it. The second month is typically when you're going to start seeing the majority of the results. Okay. And the goal should not be, I want to lose 100 pounds. The goal should always be, I want to be the healthiest version of myself. So getting up, eating healthy, going to the gym. I know every day that I do that, I'm getting a step closer and closer and closer to being the healthiest version of myself possible. Now, if you do all of these things and after 2 months or so, you're like, I'm plateaued, I lost a little bit of weight, or I still kind of feel tired, etc. This is where additional testing can come into play. Do you have a stealth infection or a hidden infection? How are your adrenals, right? How's your hormones? Are you on birth controls? Are you on some other medications that are causing different hormonal imbalances in the body that you're just not aware of? Then once you have the foundation of the diet and the lifestyle down, the stuff that I do, obviously I work with that as well, but the stuff that I do, the protocols, super easy for you. And you'll feel the results even faster. So all of these options, all of these things are designed to educate you to take care of yourself, take care of your body. And when you're being gimmicked to jump onto a diet plan, don't fall for it, okay? You need to gain control of your health. If you need a tribe or if you need people that you want to enjoy this with or challenge each other with, get accountability people. Do it with your spouse, do it with your friends, do it with your family members, and see who can win. And it's not how much weight did you lose, it's how many days did you successfully go to the gym? How many days did you successfully eat well? Right? And then let that be the competition. And then in 2 months, 3 months, you'll look at yourself and be like, who the heck is that I'm looking in the mirror? So try these things. If you didn't know I was going to go through lists of things to start, go back, listen, and go through those things. I quickly jabbed at the diets. And honestly, the main goal is not to cause hatred or separation in terms of the dieting community, but I want to empower you to be able to take charge of your health, take charge of your diet, and stop being swayed from side to side. Stop being manipulated into this diet's the best, that diet's the best, this is the best. What I'm telling you to do is basic functional medicine, basic integrative diets that you can integrate back into your life to truly start to live your life. So hopefully this helps y'all. It's not my normal ranting, raging podcast episodes. I took it easy on y'all. We're getting closer to Christmas, so I'm trying to be nice. But it is really important to make sure you listen through this and take notes and have your husband listen to this, or your wife listen to this, or your friends listen to this. Share this podcast. Let people know you don't have to spend billions of dollars to start the new year to be healthy. Just start simple. Start in the home. Start with moving. Start with bodyweight exercises. There's diet plans. There's exercise plans everywhere. As long as you're moving your body, I'm fine. I'm happy. You can play pickleball. You can play racquetball. You can play basketball. You can lift actual weights. You can do ping pong. I don't care. As long as you're moving your body, the key is to move for about 30 minutes a day. As long as you're doing that, you're doing well. And you're definitely going to be doing better than you were last year. This is about sustainability. This isn't about crashing. This isn't about things being too difficult. This is about how we can have a healthy relationship with our food so that we can achieve the health we were created to have. So thanks again for tuning in. Share this, and we're coming close to Christmas. So hopefully everyone's stress goes down. But if not, you know who to call to test your adrenals come January. Take care, everyone.